Hey, greetings. This is Rich, and this is Classic Games Redefined. My name's Rich, and this is Classic Games Redefined. What we're looking at here is one of the 32 games I did on Half a Checkerboard. This is part of the original 5, and after I get past 5, they begin to be numbered. This game here is King's Crossing. It uses the custodial trap move, which I showed off in another video on custodial capture, and it was adapting it to Half a Checkerboard. I did a game called Crossing Stonehenge for Stonehenge, which was a board game put out by Paizo. I did about a third to half of the user-generated content. It led to the International Abstract Games Organization and stuff. Anyhow, this is a captured enemy king traverse moves. Pieces. Let's go over to move. This just to let you know what it was. We'll go in the objective. You see this black stone and a white stone. They're the reason why they're here. And then we'll get in the moves and explain how we do the captures. There's two types. If you get your black king to here, you win. If the white gets their king to that space with the stone, it's there. You don't need these in the game. They're just a player to helpful. And since Tabletop Simulator uses it, it's different. So this is the standard opening for King's Crossing. What we did in the game Crossing Stonehenge did something a little bit differently. You might want to figure this is more preferable. What it does is that the base is not occupied, so we leave that though there. But what it was is because the king's there, the king's always trying to traverse to the opposite part of the board. If we were to do it that way, then this is the target space that he's going into, and that's the target space there. You can play both ways. I changed it because I didn't want to be like Crossing Stonehenge. So anyhow, we're going to do that. I'm going to pull this back. So this is one version. With this many few stones, it doesn't get clogged up. But if you do want to play a longer game, I mean, there's a very narrow risk of the game bottlenecking, but it shouldn't. If you want to play something longer, you can do the following. And note I'm playing with black and white checkers and checker pieces. So you could do this. It's just for contrast purposes that we do it. You know, but let me spin it so I can show these things here. Something else do. You can also just, I'm using the king because it stands out the more, but we can control C and then we'll control V here. And then we'll grab these. I will grab these, just bear with me 1 second. So go like that, pick these all up, and then drop them in the middle like this here. So see that there? You can play a longer game and doing it. Let me just give you another use here. I'm just going to do that. They tend to cluster together more by just doing it that way. I can cluster. You can do another thing. Instead of, if you don't have a chess king and you want to use like regular checkers, we will take the full chess checker set, which does this. And what you do is you have that. Come on. Well, bear with me 1 second. We're just going to pick up these two and drop it there. Now we have a 3. So 4 like that. And then these here. And we could do it that way, but bear with me 1 second. We have 3, which is good, and then we move it here. So what you can do instead of it, you can actually replace the king there with like a stack of 4 checkers. It stands out more for the video. If you have the pieces, I think it's preferable, but anyhow. So we just have these here. You're not going to use these normally unless you want to play extended version. Anyhow, remember the objective is to get your king to traverse the board to there, or to capture the end, or you want to traverse to the space where the ghost stones are. That one there, that one there. Or you want to be able to capture the enemy king. Let me explain how these pieces move. Everything goes forward. Pieces on the king's side, or they go laterally. So the black pieces are trying to traverse this way, and they also can move that way. The white pieces are trying to go this way, and they can also move that way. And imagine we took a rook. Let's say we took a rook piece. You were to make these move like rooks. They go forward. You don't move through enemy pieces unless you're capturing. You don't move through. You can land out as part of a capture, and I'll show a minute. Or you move it here. So that piece there, that space, that space, that space, that space there, there, there is the way it moves. And then the other one, this one here, same way, like that there. Or one or more spaces. Let's say it started here. Can't go backwards. The same thing. The black pieces can't move back this way. So you can move this way, one or more spaces. That way, like that there, and not through. Even if there's a friendly piece, let's say this piece were here, he can only go that far. And that's regular movement. Remember, it's kind of like a chess rook, and I could use chess rooks here, but I'm not going to. I'm going to use checkers just so you play with the checker set, and you can take the stack of checkers and make it a king. But this piece, you may wonder how the king piece moves. It's exactly the same way. That's the exact same move type. It's just a royal piece, and it can be captured and eliminated. It's also the target piece. That's the reason why I said if you want to play with 4 checkers, you can do that also. But anyhow, let's begin. There's 2 types of captures. I'll show you the most basic one here. So what we'll do here is, and I'm just going to double check. I think you jump diagonally also, if I'm not mistaken. Bear with me 1 second here. I'm just double checking the rules here, make sure I get it right. No, there's no diagonal movement whatsoever in this game. So checker moves can jump forward or backwards. So let's take an example of here. Let me set up something. Okay. Actually, yeah, we'll do that. We'll drag this one here like this. And do it this way. So anyhow, I just want to show this move here. Let's say this piece moves here. Jumping capture is compulsory. So then if I do that, this piece could go here, go here, go here. It has to follow through. Go here, and go there. And if you saw that last move, it came back. And this piece and that piece would be captured. Okay, this piece would be captured. This piece would be captured. And so long as the piece is adjacent to a piece it can capture by a jump, that piece would be captured. So I move here like this, I have to take it. And let's say there was a double or triple jump or whatever. Yeah, let's do something like this here. You don't have to do the move for the longest. So let's say, for example, some reason white went here like this, came up one. This piece then would jump there like that. It could choose then to go backwards, or it could go like this, or it could go like that. And you had a choice. You don't have to always take the one that's going to be the most captured. And that's one way to capture. So if, let's say, for some oddball reason, let's get the board set up again. We'll move it here. Let's say for some reason the king is here. He can go here and go like that there. Then this piece could choose to jump it. And I don't have it set high, so it would leap over it. But anyway, we'll swing this way. I have the gravity low. It jumped over, it captured, and black wins the game. Or the other one, remember the win condition capturing, or the other one, just to remind you, is moving to that space. Okay, let's give a second move type here. Okay. If I have there, I could then go here, for example. And then, let's say black does this, which actually black goes there. Actually, no, black goes like that there. White then can go here. These pieces are now frozen because they're bookended. They're between the two. If you know in Othello, if you were to drop the stone, let's say you were to drop stone here, these would flip white. That's what you have there. That's a custodial trap move, which I introduced in a game called Line Breakers, but it was used here. This is kind of adapting my game Line Breakers to checkers. So if it did that, this piece can't move forward. Then, if I were to do this, he would have to jump. You can capture it. Then these pieces are broken. That chain's broken, so anyhow. So there's ways to get it. It's a mandatory jump. So anyhow. If, let's say, he does that. Okay. he does this. He goes up there. Okay, that's not a wise move. We're not going to say it's a wise move. So, whatever. Let's say, for example, it's like this. And then white comes up here. Okay. This piece is not frozen because they have to be connected. So, let's say white did this. And black moves in here. Black's now frozen and can't move. That piece can't move. White would be forced to jump, remember, and at that point, that piece is now freed up because it broke the chain. This freezing here, for example, it's going to be tough to pull it off, but let me move it out of the way. As I said, it's tricky to do that. You're not frequently going to find them this way, but let's try to do a legal combination like this. And let's say we have it like this. Okay. White goes that way. Black chooses to leave it alone. Black could then go here like this. White can't jump because it's trapped. And then this piece goes here like that. These two are now frozen. You can also trap vertically or horizontally, not diagonally. Okay, let's go with this here like this. And let's say we have a setup like this here. And then white moves over here. These pieces are trapped and frozen, but they're trapped and frozen, but this piece can't come and capture. There's a variant rule where it can. But then after he moves here like that, black, I'm going to move this out of the way just to have it because I don't want to complicate it. So he moves over and traps like that there. Now black has to find out something it could do. Black could do that, for example. And then actually black does that, it doesn't trap. White would have to go forward and capture that. So, you see what it was is that's the jump moves like in checkers, on the lines of Turkish checkers, or that trap move. Those are the two basic move types that you have that are captures. And then the other ones, remember, going forward or moving to the side. There is, if you look at the rules, we'll have a link below to the game. There's like 10 move repetition without getting to a line. You could declare a draw. Doesn't matter that way. You can play this way, or remember the other version, which is here, which leaves the ends a little bit more vulnerable, so it's interesting. So anyhow, yeah, this is pretty much it. I've gone on enough here, and, you know, as I said, the ghost stones that we have here, you see on the side, are just player aids. They're not, you don't need them for the game, but they're useful, and since they gave it to us, since Tabletop Simulator gave me ghost stones, I like to use them as markers, so, you know, that's it. Remember, you only play with that here, not these. You can play a longer game by putting them down. But other than that, that's it. So, you know, we're going to call it here. And that's about it. So I do want to thank you for watching. And may your die always roll 5.